Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for coming to my webinar, and I'm sorry for this delay. Unfortunately, I didn't do everything properly. I only did it right now. So I just published a post about this webinar on chess.com, so other people who are now online on chess.com can join. So today we are going to work on Alekhine Defense, how to play against it with white pieces. But before we start the webinar, there are a few things that I want you to know. So first of all, I invite you to join my chess.com group. So this is the link, and by the end of the webinar, no, maybe not by the end, but tomorrow after the webinar, I'm going to publish a PGN about the line that we are going to analyze today. So it will be shown here, like it was with Scandinavian defense. Then we also did it with London system and Smith-Morrow gambit. So you'll find a PGN here. Yeah, so only members can download it, but it's easy just to become a member. Just click on it and become a member of this club. Okay, the second thing I want you to know, so these webinars are free, but if you want to support, you can click on this link and send any amount that you think. So you click here, become a patron, and then you can donate 5, 10, or any amounts that you want. However, it's not obligatory. It's just if you want to support my webinars and my YouTube channel. And the last thing, I'm going to announce the tournament that it's an online tournament that is going to start in the first week of April. What this tournament is about? So it will be a tournament where I invite everyone, my students and subscribers, so anyone who wants, but only if you are under 1800. So only players with FIDE or USCF rating under 1800 are allowed. What we are going to play? We are going to play 7 rounds, 1 week, 1 game per week. This is what I meant. So what to do to join this to join this tournament? What should you do? Just to fill this form, and if you are my student, then it's free. And for other subscribers who are not my students, I charge a registration fee, but it's only $5 American. So all the information you might find here in chat. So you see what to participate. Follow our Facebook group, chess.com group. You can also subscribe to my channel and submit this registration form. Okay, so yeah, this is the link. Yeah, let me copy the link again. This is the link for this form, so you can submit it, and actually playing procedure is shown here. And what I want you to know about the tournament, there is a money prize. It's $100 American. The second prize is a training session with me, and the third prize is a bundle of 3 chess courses devoted to tactics that were also created by me. Okay, what else? Oh, okay, so of course you know that all chess tournaments all over the world, especially in the United Kingdom, are cancelled due to coronavirus outbreak. It's a very bad situation, and chess players now have to find another place to play. And I think that the best choice in such situation can be online tournament. That's why I decided to conduct another one in April. So we are going to play for 7 weeks. We'll start in April and finish in the middle of May. And I also want you to register as soon as you can, because I accept only 20 players. So what's the time control? We are going to play with a longer time control, 45 minutes plus 30 seconds. How does this tournament work? So I'm going to tell you about the procedure. First, I make pairings and publish them in our chess.com group. Then I give you a week to play, to negotiate with your opponent, schedule the game, and play this game. You may play on Chess or chess.com, up to you. But after you play the game, send me the link to this game, because I always check all the games for cheating. If I find cheating, then you will be disqualified. And actually, last tournament that I conducted, I found a cheater and he was disqualified, of course. Okay, so that was the information about the tournament. If you want, you may join. If not, then keep attending my webinars. Okay, if you don't have any questions, let's now go through the stuff of our today's webinar. We are going to talk about Alekhine Defense, or Alekhine's Defense. So different people pronounce it in a different way. So e4, knight f6. e5, of course. So the idea of knight f6 is to attack the pawn, and the most logical move is to advance the pawn forward to force the knight to move for a second time. That's obvious. And in this position, there are several moves that can be played, like d4, c4, knight f3. When I was younger, I played c4, but now I believe that d4 is a better option, because we can play c4 anytime later if we really want it. So d4. Then what to do? d6. So he tries to destroy our pawn's center. Then knight f3. And in this position, there are several moves. So knight c6, c6 with the pawn, bishop g4, d takes a5, which is not actually a good move, and g6, quite unpopular move. However, let's go through them all. So, for example, knight c6. If we see this move, then first we play c4, knight goes to b6. There is no better square for this knight. And what do you think? How can we play then? Maybe you'll find this idea. If you were white, how would you play in such a case? Okay, d5, e6, knight c3, knight c3. d5 is not a good idea because knight takes e5. Michael, can you explain why e6? Looks like you sacrificed the pawn. Okay, so of course e6 makes sense, but I just wanna... Okay, if bishop takes d5. Right, this is the key idea. So here e6, because if bishop takes, then d5 and we gain a piece. So the knight is on c6, that's why we can play d5 and give a fork. If he takes the pawn, it weakens his king. And this is what actually happened in one of my games. Here, knight c3. And now he can play two moves, e5 immediately or g6. G6 is more popular right now, but you see these pawns are now objects of the attack. And we play h4 immediately. Bishop g7. In the game that I played, I didn't play properly. I played h5, and after e5, d5, he played knight d4. But I could play just bishop e3 to stop it. And if e5 now, then d5. Knight has to go to d4. He has to simplify the position. Otherwise, I play h5 and weaken his g6 pawn. Queen d4, then e5 probably. I take castle, and e6 of course dies, but I can play h5, queen f6, and castle queenside, for example. So this is a much better position. Bishop e6, then f3. And I'm attacking. Even if I trade the queens, my position is much better because g6 is a weakness. And white can get two passed pawns on the king side. If they don't play g6, but play e5 immediately, then d5 anyway, knight b4 or knight b8 doesn't really make much sense. His king's position is already weak. So here I believe, for example, if knight moves anywhere, if knight b4, then a3. If knight goes to another square, then just knight g5 with a strong attack. That's why he'd better play to d4, but here we are still better. However, e5, and now I don't want you to take on e6. Let's keep the position closed and go through the line that happened in the game between two grandmasters, Kokarev and Vavulin. Queen d1, just bishop f5, bishop d3. Queen takes, castle, bishop e7. Then a4 to show that this knight is really a bad piece, and after a5 it is chased, and c8 is a really bad position for the knight. In this position, white is better. And I can't say that it's a winning position, but it's enough to not to get any problems, at least, and to cause some problems for black pieces, of course. So let's say a5, for example. Then maybe queen h5 check, g6, then let's go back, for example. I don't know. So anyway, we have an e4 square for our knight. That's good enough, and this bishop is also good. So white is much better here. Okay, let's go back. So now when you see that the knight is on c6, it makes sense to play e6. So you see, first we played c4, then knight comes here, then e6. If he takes with the bishop, it's a fork. If he takes with the pawn, then just play this position because we will have a lead in development. Okay, let's go back. That was knight c6 move. What if they play bishop g4? Bishop g4, bishop e2. And then again, if he does knight c6, we can apply the same idea. But here, while the bishop on g4, I recommend you to start with e6 first. And if bishop takes, then c4, d5. If pawn takes, then h3. And after bishop moves, let's say to h5, we can just castle and keep attacking on e6 later. f6, or maybe knight b6 is more logical. d5, we take d5. Yes, we are down a pawn, but we control everything in this position. When I was preparing to my opponent during the tournament in Corsica, I analyzed this position, and it's much better for white. You can believe me, but even it's seen by naked eye. For example, he's not developed yet, and all white pieces are located on best positions. Only rooks should be activated C and D files, for example. Oh, bishop b5 is coming at some point. This bishop is hanging right now. Knight e5 can be played soon because it's a double attack. Okay, fine. So what you should remember is that after knight comes to c6, you should keep this idea of pushing the pawn forward, sacrificing the pawn on e6 in your mind. But he may play e6 instead, or even c6. If so, then I recommend you to castle first, and then play c4. Here we take on d6. If he captures with one of his pieces, then c5. If he takes with the c pawn, then we can play h3 or even knight c3, let's say h3, bishop h5, and then we play this position where we control the center, and if knight c6, then d5, of course, and here we totally dominate. But if not, then we just play b3, queen d2, and make move by move, trying to make our position solid in general. Actually, I think this is the most solid continuation for black, because black doesn't lose immediately, and the initiative for white is not so strong. What else? He may also play c6, but if so, then c4. Now knight goes to, he has two squares, c7 and b6. If b6, what do you think we should do? By the way, what can you say about his bishop on g4? Is it good or bad, or what? Okay, so what to do with the bishop, and what's the next move we should play? Bishop on g4 is unprotected, and it doesn't really pin our knight, and it can be exchanged. So how to exchange this bishop? Actually, I can say that the bishop is really good, because it's located on the open diagonal, so this bishop is bad, at least for now, and the bishop on g4 is good. Okay, so that's why we play knight g5 with the idea to trade. Of course, he may play this move. But, okay, if he plays this move, then what do you think? Maybe, okay, maybe you don't know, but e6 now, with the help of this knight on g5, we can play e6. For example, he takes with his bishop, then we take with the knight, and then knight d2, g6. And for example, bishop g4, so we win the pawn on e6 anyway. If he plays e5, okay, fine, but his light squares are so weak, so that strategically we are winning here. However, I doubt that he can take with the bishop. I think black would take with the pawn. However, in such a case, I recommend g4. If bishop g6, just take on e6. But now or later, up to you. If here he takes on b1, then rook b1, and you'll take this pawn later. For example, if queen d7, then bishop d3, taking this h7 pawn, and if he does this, then after queen f3, it's difficult to defend against queen f7. So the pawn on e6 will be gained anyway, but the king is also weak. So that's why it makes more sense for him to trade and then take on a5. If so, of course, we don't take with the queen, we take with our d pawn, then h6, and if we play knight e4, then queen d4, attacking 2 pawns. That's why here we play knight f3. e6, castle, knight d8, for example, or knight d7 I meant. Then just a few more moves, and here I can say that this square is important. Or we may use the d6 square as the outpost for our knight. For example, even. Maybe even b4 works here. Okay, b4. He goes somewhere with his knight, then knight e4, and then a knight comes to d6. And here we definitely have a compensation for the sacrificed pawn on b4. I think you understand the idea of queen c2 move, with the idea to push the pawn forward, because we chase the knight and then his other knight is unprotected. Okay, anyway, let's go back. So here, what did we do? He played c6, then we pushed the pawn to c4, he went to b6 with his knight, then knight g5. So remember about this idea. If he doesn't trade, then e6. If he does, then queen e2 and take here with the pawn, go back with your knight, then just develop your pieces. And because of the d6 square, white is better. The other option is to go to c7, and in this position knight g5 doesn't work because he covers the e6 square with his knight on c7. If so, let's just take on d6, e takes d6, and queen b3, attacking on b7. So probably he has to play b6 or something like that, but it weakens the pawn on c6. And then white is better because of better development, and so these pawns can be weaknesses in the future. For example, queen e4, and what to do with the pawn on c6 now. If he pushes this move, c5, then just castle. And if he takes, then d6 will be a weakness. If he doesn't, then we keep in mind the idea to push our pawn forward. But if so, we should be ready for knight e5, of course. So that's why maybe we'd better keep this tension and play something like that, and then maybe take. Take on c5 because we already got the control over the d file. So yeah, white is better, not much, but of course white has more chances to win. So c6 isn't a good move here. Knight c6 doesn't work as well. And as I mentioned, e6 is the best option, and we analyzed it. So here you just have a strong pawn center. So it looks like we covered bishop g4 option. And knight c6. If he does c6 now, it doesn't really change anything because bishop e2, and in this position, looks like bishop g4 should be played. But if so, it's just a transposition of the moves, and we play c4, knight g5, and like I just demonstrated you in the previous line. However, if here he takes, what is the other option? What do you think? Does it make sense to take with the pawn, or it's better to take with the knight? So which of them? What's your idea? What do you think? Okay, with pawn. Can you explain why with a pawn? Actually, according to what I see, both moves are playable. Take it with the pawn, you can try getting the queen into the game. No, okay, I see. I see what you mean, but maybe we'll see another suggestion why to take with the pawn. Uh-huh. Okay, so any route suggests to trade the queens. So he thinks that if d takes e5, white has better chances to trade the queens and force the king to move to d8. That makes sense. Okay, I still think that knight takes e5 looks better. Knight takes e5. Why? Because it gives us more space, and no bishop g4 can be played. So only if bishop f5 if he wants to develop the bishop, and it's not really a good move. Castle. Let's say knight d7. Then c4, knight goes back, and f4. So here we gain more space. We control the center. And if he takes, we can even open the f file to threaten the bishop. However, to take with the pawn is not a mistake. But no, let's say he plays bishop f5, and then Anirudh suggested something like that, but I don't really like this move because then knight b4. What? If we trade the queens, then he's threatening with knight c2, and we have to play this move. But if so, then maybe knight d3, and we have to trade our light squared bishop, which is not good for us. So that's why I'm not sure. I would play knight e5 definitely. Okay, so knight e5, bishop f5, castle, and after this move c4, and then f4 to support the knight on e5. And again, we have a better development. Okay, let's go back. So c6 is not a actually good choice. Looks like no. As for now, I can say that bishop g4, bishop e2, and e6 looks like the most solid line for black. But anyway, we know how to play, and at least we can get a slight advantage for white. Okay, so knight c6, c6, bishop g4 is covered. D takes e5 in this position. Then again, we'd better take with the knight. If c6, it's just the same position. Bishop e2 and bishop f5 castle. And here knight f3 works. And it was actually played in the game between Alexander Grishchuk and Bortnik, played in Riyadh in 2017. And Alexander Grishchuk won that game. So knight f3 is a possible move, but c4, this is what I recommend to you. Let's go back. So c6 is over. What if knight d7? Now, what can you say about this move? What if he plays knight d7 immediately? Does it make sense to play c4, or maybe we can play something that is much better than c4? Anyway, what would you play if you were white in this position? Okay, so bishop b5, bishop b5, bishop a3. Okay, bishop b5 doesn't make sense. He can just push the pawn. Bishop a3 is not a good move because he takes our dark squared bishop, which is not also good. And wait, bishop b5, c6, you can take with the knight on c6. Ah, this is what you meant. No, I'll show you. c6, knight c6, b takes c6. Go here. Then just knight c7. And if you take, then you lost two minor pieces for a rook and two pawns. I think that's not enough. Maybe the position is equal. I can't say that white has a worse position, but I'm sure white is not better here. But in this position, black can play just queen b6. And now two of your pieces are hanging. This is the problem. And here, of course, white loses. Okay, so no, bishop b5 doesn't work. But instead, we can just play knight takes f7. King takes f7, queen h5. Double attack. If king moves, then we take on then we take on d5. So it has to move to e6. Then c4. And if this knight moves to f6, then d5, he has no squares. He can't escape to f7. He has to go here. Then queen f7. Knight e5, for example, bishop e4. So this is the strong attack. And if he decides to trade the queens, we can allow him to trade the queens because after knight c3, we'll give a check and just take this knight for free. The king has no squares to go to keep the protection of this knight. If, for example, he does it with his other knight, then just he takes d5, queen d5, and queen h4 with a better position. The material is equal, but because of his king in e6, our position is better. So here you see knight f7 is a good tactical strike. Okay, so d takes on f5 isn't a good move too. What if g6? If g6, then here we have several moves, but the most strong is this one. And now, yes, if he captures, then we take with the d pawn because it opens the attack of this knight. Knight b6, bishop b3, bishop g7, let's say. And in this position, what do you think we can do? Please suggest a move. It's not actually a tactical strike, it's just a move that can help to improve our position in general and probably cause some weaknesses in his camp. So it's not bishop takes f7, of course. e6, you think? E6, bishop e6. Castle. What else? Yes, Anusha is correct. It's knight g5, threatening the pawn. Because if he castles, then e6. And so it doesn't make sense for him to take. He may lose the exchange in such a case. If f6, then knight f7 and knight h6. And because of the strong pawn on e6, we are better. No, probably he moves, then just castle. If he decides to play d5, we can simply protect this pawn with our rook, and it's fine. So the knight on h6 is protected with our bishop. It's fine. If after knight g5, instead of castling, he plays a6, then queen f3, he castles, and queen h3. On h7, h6 is played. But after knight e4, we have a strong attack. Yes, we have to develop our pieces, of course, but this attack can be really strong. We are threatening to take on h6, and the bishop on b3 can also support c4 move. Of course, he may play d5. In such a case, d5, then knight c5, king h7, then maybe c3 in this position, maybe f4, actually, f4. So we play something like French defense, but in a better edition. This bishop is bad. This knight is not doing much. We have a strong plan to attack the king side. We can castle to any side we want, to the king side, and then play positionally or just to keep the king in the center and initiate the pawn match immediately. The only thing I want you to remember for this position, just don't forget that development is your first priority. So knight g5 here can lead to a better position for white. Actually, g6 is played really quite rare. So let's go back and let's try to sum it up. This is actually, we covered all the lines I wanted to show you. So e4, knight f6, e5, of course, to chase the knight to gain a tempo. Knight goes to d5, then d4, because c4 can be played later. d6, knight f3. If he takes on e5, we take with the knight. And then, for example, c6, bishop e2, bishop f5, castle, and after knight d7, we can play c4, knight goes here, and f4, for example. If he plays g6, then bishop c4, knight b6, bishop b3, and the idea with knight g5 and e6. If he plays knight c6, don't forget about this strong idea to play c4, knight b6, and e6. Because if bishop takes, you give a fork. If pawn takes, you have a strong attack. So g6 can be faced with h4 immediately. But here you better play bishop e3 instead, and then h5. c6 with the pawn, then bishop e2. If he takes on e5, we take with the knight. If bishop g4, then we play c4 and knight g5 with the idea to trade. If he does knight c7, Then instead of knight g5, because after knight g5 he can escape, he can play bishop f5. Here we just take and play queen b3. And finally, bishop g4 is the strongest continuation. Bishop e2. If knight c6, then again c6, e6 works. If, what else? If c6, then c4. And knight g5, or it takes d6 with queen b3. What else? e6 is the most solid continuation for black, according to what I analyzed. And if so, you castle, c4, take on d6, c takes on d6, and just play positionally, probably h3, or just knight c3 with bishop a3 and b3, something like that. This is a good position, but you have to play positionally. No, I mean strategically. There is no much many tactical strikes. So you just think about how to improve your position in general and how to make the enemy pieces really bad. Okay, do you have any questions about Alekhine Defense, or maybe you have any question about the tournament that I'm going to start on the first week of April? So this is the link to register. Don't forget to do this. Also join our Tricks of Chess group on chess.com. And here I accept only 20 players, so register as soon as you can if you really want to participate. Okay, so there is a good question by Anusha. So why do we have to play b3? We have to play b3 because in some variations, let's say, for example, he castles, then we have to play b3, because if we don't do this, let's say we play bishop e3, then he does knight c6, and then we play something like, I don't know, let's say h3. That can be a mistake, because then bishop f3, and knight takes c4. So that's why we play b3 to support this pawn. Any other questions? Actually, what else I want you to do, if you are interested in a special topic for the next webinar, just message me at my email, tricksofchess@gmail.com. Oh, wait, sorry. tricksofchess@gmail.com. So this is the correct address. I can pin it to the top. So this is my address. So if you want to suggest a special topic for the webinar, just message me. And of course, I'll take your suggestions into account, and maybe the next webinar will be devoted to this exact topic. If not next, then I may conduct such a webinar in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And of course, don't forget that every Sunday we have webinars. So there will be another one next Sunday. So don't miss them. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. If not, then thank you for attending the webinar. If you want to support, then you can support by clicking patreon.com/tricksofchess and become a patron. If you don't have this option, if you don't want, just keep attending my webinars, because if more people come, I feel much better, and I can create more exercises for you and cover different topics. Okay, thank you for coming. That's all for today.